Welcome to episode 4 of Play Some D with me, Coach D. This is the 4th installment, I am happy to say, a full month of podcasting. Call it the potty. That sounds bad. Potty. So Play Some D, episode 4 today. First I want to say Happy Black History Month to everyone. Shouldn't just be a month. This should be Black history should be talked about and involved in everyday life, year round. But take the month, raise some awareness, show people, that African American history. It's pretty awesome. I mean, I'll take it and run with it. It's good. It's better than some people wouldn't like that saying, but it's better than nothing. People do things. Good things do happen during Black History Month. I guess that's what I want to say, without dwelling too far into it. That is one of the topics for today, with it being the end of the month. And I originally was going to do some commemoratory stuff at the beginning, but I was like, let's just wait until the end. And kind of in my eyes, I felt like it is the shortest month, so giving me doing this on the podcast gives it another day. It's cheesy, but it's cool. Like, I stretch it an extra day, maybe a couple of days, depending on how many people see the video and things of that nature. But yeah, regardless, that's gonna be one of the topics today, as well as the music of the month. I'll probably do some kind of music or movies of the month that I liked or watched, and I'll list and whatever. But yeah, do music of the month for February. I want to talk about Drake, the Drake effect that Drake has had putting on artists. He's not the only person that does this, but it's a good time to talk about it with his album On the Horizon. Or should have came out, but On the Horizon. And then lastly, with us going into March, I wanted to talk about March Madness. Just in case I don't get a chance to talk about it again, March Madness is a big sporting event every year. And I think it's going to be interesting this year. So those are the 4 quarters for episode 4. Please like and subscribe to the video if you enjoy the content. Thank you very much for those that do. With that being said, I'm not going to go in anymore. Let's just start this first quarter off here. Let me crank it up on the board and thank everybody. Yeah. Black History Month. BHM, as we like to. I kind of originally wanted to Black History Month. I feel like I did want to shout out the NBA. I feel like they do a good job. I think they do a good job with Black History Month. I don't know why. I just feel like the players and the league, whether it's phony or what, I don't think it's phony, but whether if it was or not, some people may think it is. It's just a ploy or whatever. But it's awesome that they put on their shirts and they the players get out there and talk about it, and not necessarily activists, but kind of just putting out that message, because the majority of the players, I knew the number once upon a time, but 80 something, I don't know, probably higher than that. 90 some percent of the players are Black. So it is pretty awesome. So what I want to do here was kind of just shout out some people from my perspective. I wanted to highlight a couple of events that so not highlight people from my perspective, some people that I learned a little bit about. I'm just going to kind of shout them out at some point here. I do want to talk about just some fun, cool facts and some things that people already know. I just wanted to just give a segment here just to talk about the awesomeness of Black History Month. So the celebration of Black History Month actually began as a Negro History Week, which was created by Carter G. Woodson in 1926. He was a historian, scholar, educator, and publisher. It became a month-long celebration in 1976. I didn't go into, in 1976, the backlash that would have been, because I'm sure it was probably nuts. I mean, I guess it wasn't too bad in the 70s as it could have been if it wasn't like the 40s or 50s. And I would love to see how the reception of the South was in the 76 to that. They might have been cool with it and kind of just talk bad upon it, but I know it ruffled some feathers. Another place or organization or thing is the National Museum of African American History and Culture, opened in 2016, I'm pretty sure. I still want to go, and it's just incredible that place exists. It's in DC for those that are under a rock. So the individuals that most people all know, every year we go over it, we highlight it, we look at it, talk about it, things of that sort. So the first African American female pilot was Bessie Coleman. Man, that had to. Ooh. I know she went through just so much stuff. Like, oh my God, I know it was rough for her. She probably was even afraid to get in that plane for sabotage purposes. Yeah, but shout out to Bessie Coleman. Claudette Colvin was someone that I learned about when I was younger, but it was just to kind of introduce Rosa Parks. And she was the 15-year-old girl who refused to move to the back of the bus 9 months before Rosa, and it kind of started that the bus, forgot exactly what it's called, the boycott. And yeah, that, you know, she's one of those forgotten people that I think we all should be reminded about, because Rosa does get the roses for it. But yeah, I think, you know, Claudette Colvin was, you know, 15 years old, and she, you know, I read that she, you know, was studying some of the Black activists, and, you know, she was making a stand at a very young age, which is, you know, scary in its own right. So obviously Rosa Parks, big ups to her. You know, she nationalized it because, you know, things could be done, but if nobody sees it, nobody notices it, it can easily be swept under the rug by people that want to sweep it under the rug. So it's good they kept pushing on that, and you know, started a movement with it. You know, it's some of those movements, a lot of those movements, and even today, even anytime you want to fight for something you believe in, you know, you need a movement behind it. Whatever sparks it. But, you know, you want to pull up the people that, you know, dug the gravel before, you know, things started sprouting up and changing. John Mercer Langston was the first Black man to become a lawyer when he passed the bar in Ohio in 1854. Thought that was just a cool snippet there. The NAACP, 112 years strong. Shout out to them, paving the way, helping a lot of people. I went to the award ceremony a few years back. It was pretty cool, just seeing all the Black people in the building, getting recognized for things that was for entertainment, but they do it for all different type of things. And yeah, it doesn't look like they're going anywhere. I remember when I was little, I kind of, can't lie, I mocked them. I didn't think, you know, it just felt like something to have, but it is really an organization that matters and helps a lot of people and empowers Black people. And yeah, it's amazing. Thurgood Marshall was the first African American ever appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Thurgood, you know, these, I mean, some of these people I just kind of picked out and want to point out. I feel like, I mean, I obviously can, but you just put yourself in their shoes. Like, man, that had to be just the hardest work. I mean, his test and his what's the word when they the vetting oh my gosh, it just had to be so vigorous. I'm sure he wanted to quit so many times. And yeah, it would be cool to talk to that guy, because that's a big seat in the United States, and he held it for a while, I think until 91, if I remember correctly. So shout out Thurgood. George Washington Carver, I saw a number of 500, but 300 plus derivative products from peanuts, cheese, milk, flour, ink, dyes, plastic, soap, cosmetics, medicinal oils. It's just, I mean, he just went in. And George Washington Carver just went. He just went. He's just that dude. He's one of those people that think is overlooked, but he may have wanted it that way. I mean, that's why he grinded like that. He's a grinder. You don't just keep churning out products if you're not a grinder. Like, he was destined to be great at that. So, man, I think that's one of the first people I learned about. I think he's probably the first one that comes up, I think, in my textbook when I learned about, you know, Black history when I was in school, for sure. The first senator, and I kind of just wanted to mention the first senator and House Representative because politics is so huge right now. So I just wanted to give Hiram Rhodes Revels was the first African American elected to the U.S. Senate, and Shirley Chisholm was the first African American woman elected to the House of Representatives. So those two just stuck out. So I wanted to, I want to throw those in there. Phyllis Whitley was the first African American to publish a book of poetry, poems on various subjects, religion, and morals in 1773. 1773. Whew. Anthony Bennett's. He's a white Quaker abolitionist educator, is credited with creating the first public school of African American children in the early 1770s. And I think we do not shout out enough white people for helping. I didn't, it's the only one in my piece here, but schooling for children that didn't have that, oh man, it is incredible just to think about just 200 years ago, 250 years ago. It's really not that long. It's really not that long. But yeah, Anthony was, man, what a dude. I got to get more info on him. But in July 1777, Vermont became the first colony to ban slavery. I feel like Vermont, shout out to Big Bernie Sanders. I feel like Vermont is just on top of it. A lot of people say California is, but Vermont just seems like a cool place to live. I know it's probably cold, is probably just super cold, but man, they just seem like they figure stuff out. I'm sure they make mistakes, but so they get stuff right first a lot. So then I just wanted to rattle off a couple of names. Won't do any spiels on them or anything like that, but Maya Angelou, Ruby Bridges, Medgar Evers, Rudolph Fisher, Langston Hughes, Big Mama Thornton. Shout out to Big Mama Thornton. Sojourner Sojourner Truth. Never could get that one. But Annie Lee Cooper, Dorothy Height, Gwendolyn Brooks, Jane Boland, Alvin Ailey, and Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler. Shout out to all of those individuals. Just some people that I learned about. I learned about Big Mama Thornton. Big Mama, the big one in there for me with Big Mama Thornton, because a few months back, I just realized how much music she's responsible for, and it's that I never even knew. So, man. And then kind of too, in just current news, is Fred Hampton and Billie Holiday. Black, heroes for sure. Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of controversy there. But he was trying. Young dude that was trying. Whether he was doing things the wrong, I won't even say that, but whether they, people didn't like it or whatever, he was ruffling wrong feathers. He went out in a horrible fashion by trying to help people. So Judas and the Black Messiah, which actually technically wasn't even about Fred Hampton, but it's about Fred Hampton. So that was a good movie. And The United States for Billie Holiday, Lee Daniels did that. That came out this previous weekend on Hulu, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Andra Day did a really good job as Billie. From my understanding, is that she was a Billie Holiday historian, I guess you could say, or I'm not sure what that word is, but yeah, she knows a lot about Billie Holiday. Didn't think she could play her. Played her to a T from what I can imagine. And her life was rough too. And to be harassed for a song, and she did some things, but to be harassed for a song is, but her voice, her message lives on. Some point in the movie, she tells blah blah blah. I don't know why I can't think of the FBI agent's name. It's right on the tip of my tongue, that your grandkids will be singing Strange Fruit, and Billy, we all are. We definitely are. So yeah, that's I mean, I could go on. Probably could have did a whole ep. I probably should have did. Actually, next year, all goes well, I am going to do a whole Black History Month podcast, and I'll just let it rip. But happy Black History Month. Shop Black owned, shop Black small businesses as much as possible all year round. Show the love. Small business in general, look out for them. Yeah, let's I probably went too long there, but stretch it out. Black History Month only get 28 days, so let's give it 28 days and a couple more minutes. So let's go to second quarter. Second quarter, jump right into it. I'm with the music of the month. So this is a segment I'll do, like I mentioned earlier, where it's either gonna be movies or music. End of the month, maybe I'll alternate, but depending on how many good movies, usually we'll get some music that I can kind of talk about, maybe talk about. Like this month, it wasn't a lot of music this month, but I can always talk about music. Like music is my thing. I feel like I'm a music enthusiast. I listen to a lot of music, which I could listen to more, but sometimes I just want to be kind of in quiet, and for what comes out on a given month as far as like music, and I listen to literally everything pretty much except rock and roll. You could be listening to music, all day for weeks before you're like, average week. I guess you probably get somewhere between seven plus 10 plus albums a week, and I like to listen to albums, just don't really listen to singles. So I try to run through projects that people I'm interested in, and if I listen. And but anyway, let me not go into that, but start off with some of the hot singles. So Post Malone put out a Only Wanna Be like a Pokemon thing. Nick Jonas got a Spaceman song. Calling My Phone with Lil TJ and Six Lack. And then one of the top songs is like Drunk with. These all came out with this month, and Ellie King and Miranda Lambert. Obviously the bigger, those are one of the top newer songs. And there's obviously bigger songs out there people listen to that came out, a while ago. Drake, which I'll be talking about next. Draco the Ruler, he featured on his track. That's a new song that some people are enjoying. I don't really care for it. What we have, Aloe Black's new album is going to come out. I may do this again next month because I'm sure his album is going to go crazy. We got some music. Wiz Khalifa did something. Trippie Redd and Travis Barker. Tory Lanez and Chris Brown, Feels. I didn't like that song. Obviously, there's a bunch of songs that came out this month, but for what I actually enjoy was That Go. That Go was a really solid song with Young Thug, Meek, and T-Shine. I think it's T-Shine's song. I'm not really sure. But that is a dope song, dope record that kind of came out of nowhere. But I did like that one. The Go Crazy remix, Mulatto, Young Thug, Chris Brown, and that's gonna play a lot. Well, maybe might not play more than the original, but that's technically new. It's a remix. Up with Cardi B, it's a good song. Actually, pretty solid track. And then the two, at least in hip hop, the two biggest talked about records were the songs off of Judas and the Black Messiah soundtrack, EPMD with Nas, and What It Feels Like with Nipsey and Jay-Z. They're good songs. They're good. I think usually when Jay and Nas come out with something, they're compared to one another, but I think they both serve their purpose. They're both good songs, really good to listen to, dope lyrics, things of that nature. And then kind of just on that note, I just wanted to transition into the albums behind that. And that Judas and Black Messiah album is pretty good. Has a number of, features, obviously. But I was struck by the intro with Fred Hampton Jr. Thought it was just, it's not a song, but it's just gotta listen to it. It's a good intro to pave the way for the movie. If you listen to the album first, and even if you watch the movie first, listen to the album. That's what I did. It was I think it rings home a little bit more. So for some albums that, see how I want to explain this. So I'll do it this way. So a bunch of albums came out. Looks like, 30 something odd, maybe more. The Weeknd had his highlights again. I feel like The Weeknd just has too many greatest hits. I can't find greatest hits for people that should have greatest hits, and he has like 3 of them. But that came out. Tyra the Kid, It's Not Me, It's You. Black Coffee, Subconsciously came out. That was really good. Van Jess, Homegrown. Actually, I haven't listened to that, but I actually want to go back and I do want to listen to that. Pooh Shiesty had an album, Shiesty Season. Some people said it was good. Pink Sweats, Pink Planet. He has some really good songs. Really music. He has a track with Kalani that came out. I didn't talk about, but yeah, that came out this month. Lucky Day, Table for Two. Robin Thicke on Earth and in Heaven. D Smoke, Black Habits. Dua Lipa did a Future Nostalgia thing. Jim Jones, The Fraud Department with Harry Fraud. That actually wasn't bad. Was surprised that I enjoyed that a bit. Kelly Rowland had an EP. Kevin Gates had a mixtape. SG Lewis Times. I'll come back to that. Then I'll kind of talk about. I did enjoy that. Currency, Conway the Machine. If it bleeds, it can be killed. I mentioned The Truth Hurts. Draco the Ruler. Drake got a track on there. Cassie Veggies, and Robin Schultz for. I do need to still listen to that. And Bryson Tiller had a deluxe version with his, I think a song with Big Sean or something like that, of his anniversary album. But I enjoy Times by SG Lewis. I think SG Lewis is a solid artist. I listened to, of those all those albums and rattled off, I probably listened to like 15 of those of albums this month, which I think is pretty good. I probably should do an album a day if I was really the enthusiast I say I am, but trust me, I am. It's a good album. It's a really smooth album to listen to. He just makes good music. I got introduced to him actually watching Ballers. No Less. I want to say it was No Less. I think it was No Less on Baller. That's actually how I learned about him and listened to him ever since. Subconsciously with Black Coffee, I think, was the best project I listened to this month. Very, very solid. Black Coffee he's a dope artist. I got hip to him, not, recently, actually, probably 2 years ago, listening to his Pandora station. So, and then Table for Two, A Lucky Day. That was surprisingly good. But actually, his Tiny Desk was really, really good. So, actually, not totally shocked, but that was a solid project as well. That I would be. Those three for sure. I've actually listened to a couple of times, and then Psycho, Legally Insane, Smoke Perp. I just couldn't listen to that. As far as the Sayori Kid I mentioned earlier and Conway the Machine, they were decent. Just wasn't. Yeah, Sayori Kid, I was like love relationship stuff, and Conway was kind of felt like throwaways. I think he's got something coming that's gonna be really, really good. And JPEG Mafia EP2 was okay. I didn't really care for that either, but a lot of music for everybody out there. From February, March should crank up with the highly anticipated album from who I'm going to talk about right now, going into the third quarter. We're just going to jump straight over halftime, not even going to look at it or think about it. We're just going to jump right into the Drake Effect. And it's well talked about, but I feel like obviously there's more artists that help people get on and things of that nature, but I just feel like he's so big and everything touches. And actually we'll see with Draco the Ruler if that song catapults him, because he catapults so many artists. It's pretty crazy actually to think about it. But I'm sure he feels like without Lil Wayne, he probably wouldn't be. I mean, he's even mentioned it, who is Drake without Lil Wayne? That's another probably topic discussion for its own day. But I really just wanted to touch on a couple different things that I found interesting. I mean, originally, I do think the first song that comes to mind for me was Future and Tony Montana. And I'm not sure how true it was, but I guess Drake wouldn't do the video or didn't show for the video. Future got mad. But that song turned Future into arguably, I mean, Future grinded, made a lot of music, but Tony Montana, that Drake, Migos and Versace. I mean, I'm not a Migos fan, but I say without Versace, I don't know. Fetty Wap, My Way. I won't even. I won't even. I love Makinen Tuesday. Meek Mill, Amen. It's one of the ones that Meek was pretty much Meek without that. YG, Who Do You Love? Same thing. YG was who he was before that. And Weekend The Zone. Weekend had the Drake cosign early on. So, as far as the feature go, didn't matter. But obviously Drake, signed on OVO and same city, Toronto, and things of that nature. I think it helped the Weekend tremendously. Sampha, he was on Too Much. He's big now, and obviously Party. I want to talk about Party Next Door. Everybody knows the Party Next Door situation. Now for 40, his right hand man, his producer. Obviously, I'm not gonna go into that. Boy Wonder is the in-house producer for OVO Sound, and I mean these are all big producers. T minus, 1985, Metro Boomin, Murder Beats, Frank Dukes, Mike Zombie. Those are all guys that, with producers, you probably could argue it a little bit more because you got to work together. I mean, I suppose Drake can't make his own beats, and even some artists that do make their own beats, they get hassled for it. So it obviously has to mesh. It has to go together. But these producers, like Mike Zombie did, started from the bottom, and I mean, this is like, it's hard to compare it to anybody else. I mean, I guess, because even when I think about like Jay-Z, Eminem, I just think of some of the other big artists, Michael Jackson. And then I don't know how much of them, like Drake shares himself. Some people don't really. And even with Lil Wayne, I felt like when he was featured on everything, I just felt like he was getting on stuff that, he was already getting on popular people's things. Like Drake is picking people up off the ground. Now some of his frequent collaborators, this is actually an article that I'm looking at here that actually sparked my interest. It's a Canada website, CBC. Trey Songz is the interesting one because I think early on, especially with Successful, I think they helped each other. And at the time, Trey Songz was probably Trey Songz was definitely the bigger artist. For sure. I'm thinking about that. But I think they helped each other. So it's the Replacement Girl was the 2007 single. I think it was Drake's song. Pretty sure Drake's song. Lil Wayne, that doesn't really count. But Lil Wayne, as far as Lil Wayne and Rick Ross go, they are some of the frequent people that he is on songs with. And I think more than anything, he keeps them, I don't want to say keeps them relevant, but maybe they keep each other. But obviously Drake's the bigger artist than both of them and have been for the longest. And when he's on the track with them, I feel like it heightens everybody up. And I think that's another effect. It's not just the fact that Drake makes other artists bigger or blows them up and makes them some money in that case, but I do think he maybe NBA players compared to like going up against LeBron or now like the Brooklyn Nets, you get your best shots when Drake's on the track, or was on a track, you kind of give it the best shot. Drake kind of sings a lot now, so it's not really the same, but Nicki Minaj kind of falls under that too. I think Nicki's case was Wayne as well, but she was on a lot of songs with Drake, and that helped her, but she was going to be huge regardless, because I believe she can rap, and she's a very good entertainer, so she was going to make it. Kanye not going to add in here. They got Kanye and Rihanna here and there. Kanye's been huge for a long time. Rihanna's going to be big. 2 Chainz. Now, as I mentioned, Future. 2 Chainz is an interesting one too, because Drake did hop on the No Lie, and the No Lie might arguably be 2 Chainz' biggest record. Maybe not, but it definitely helped him switch over from Titty Boy to 2 Chainz. So yeah, and then Future, as I mentioned before, I'm pretty, Future, Tony Montana without that. But anyway, I'm not gonna go back to that. And then Drake's co-signs The Weeknd's, Janae Aoki. She was on the From Time track on Nothing Was the Same. Migos, as I mentioned before, G Herbo and Little Bibby. He just did like Instagram stuff, I think. Not big on Instagram, but just shouting them out. He hopped on Tinashe's 2 On, and he actually kills that record. And I don't know if that helped her. She's not huge, but it was it peaked at number 24 on the Billboard Hot 100. Excellent. Dej Loaf, shouted her out. Don't know who Ram Riddles is. Just gonna skip it. Wizkid, and obviously there's a bunch of artists that actually, it was OVO Sound is a thing, and a lot of artists go on there, and they aren't huge, so everything he touched doesn't turn into a goal. I just feel like a lot of it does. Wizkid is pretty darn big now. Lil Baby, I think out Yes Indeed. I'm sorry, I just don't think he goes. And Block Boy JB, Look Alive. Those are the latest. OVO Sound is another thing that I'll touch on briefly because I don't want to go too long into this. But he has a nice roster with OVO Sound, with Party Next Door, Obi, Maji Jordan, Roy Woods. Roy Woods is actually really good. Division is actually really, really good. Baka Not Nice, Plaza, Papa Khan. Of artists, maybe another conversation for another day, but comparing music groups at its height, this one's pretty good. I mean, it's probably not the best, obviously. It's probably not No Limit or Cash Money or nothing like that, but it might be more guys, and they're, doing well. I guess if you slide The Weeknd in there, but I don't think he's technically OVO Sound, then I think they probably beat anybody. But I said that's just something for me to kind of gloss over another day, another time. But the Drake effect is real. Certified Lover Boy, hopefully coming soon. If not, whatever. But he's a huge artist. He may go down as the greatest to ever do it musically, not rapping. Another conversation for another day. But let me jump over and get into the fourth quarter. And fourth quarter is we thought it folds up. So the folds up for actually what is basketball related. And I kind of did this on purpose. I wanted I'm talking about basketball. March Madness, starting March, also Women's History Month. Shout out to women. I'll probably do a Women's History segment. Why not? You know what I'm saying? So fourth quarters we go, basketball related. So why not? But basically, I just really wanted to briefly, I probably won't go back into it when the tourney starts. But just what looks to be what's going to be the top teams in the country. overall, I'm just going to come out and say that anybody can get beat this year. Gonzaga is they're sporting a 24-0 record. They're probably the best team in the country, but I do think they're beatable. I think anybody's beatable, obviously, but they just don't seem like they're gonna just whoop everybody. Even to start it off, like they'll probably smash whoever's 16, but after that, I think it's gonna be dogfights all tournament, which could actually turn out to be very exciting. I think it's all going to be in one space, and I totally forgot. Maybe it's here, but it's all going to be in one place. So it'll be interesting, like kind of like the bubble last year at for the NBA. So it creates a whole other dynamic. But anyway, Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor dropped to 3 after they took a L. Baylor just doesn't look very good. I know they were, protocols. They had weeks off, and they're rusty, but I watched them early on in the season. Just never thought they were very good. Holla State's clocked in at number 4 right now. I don't know how far they make it, but if you're betting, man, which I am, I'm probably betting against them, especially if the odds are good. Illinois, West Virginia. The Big Ten is the best. The Big Ten is going to fight because they do have, I think, the best conference. So depending on how the conference championships go and people don't get hurt, and depending on how they iron sharpens iron, everything goes, somebody may get hotter and really, separate themselves. Illinois is 5, West Virginia is 6, and I've seen all these teams play at least once. Alabama, Villanova, Iowa, Houston. I watched Houston play at 23. That record doesn't really sit well with me. They're just not that good. Arkansas, Florida State, Kansas, Texas, Loyola, Chicago, Creighton, Oklahoma State, Virginia, USC, Wisconsin is 20. Now, Oklahoma State, some of the exceptional players, so like Jalen Suggs, who plays for, I think that's his name, pretty sure that's his name, that's for Gonzaga, and then forgot his name, he just had 40 for Oklahoma State. And now, those guys, if they get hot, I think this might be a tournament for somebody to actually state their name and actually becoming a higher draft pick. Those two are top probably 3-4 guys, regardless if they lose in the first round. But I do think it's space for players to get their stock risen in the draft. That's definitely the case, and I think some guys are going to go out and try to get theirs, especially when the games or the matchups may be a little bit closer and teams that feel like, man, we could beat them. I think guys will go out and work a little bit harder to really push through. The bottom of this top 26 here on CBS Sports is Clemson, Oklahoma, and Missouri. And all those teams will probably get whacked in the first round by whoever they play. BYU, Purdue. Purdue's going to fight, actually. I think all the Big Ten teams are going to really fight. But, Clemson, Oklahoma, Missouri football teams, or Clemson, Oklahoma, I wouldn't be surprised if they underdogs in the first round. So that's kind of how it breaks down. I feel like it is going to be an exciting March Madness. I think it's going to be fun to watch because you don't have the Dukes or the Kentuckys with all the good players, and you don't feel like, man, they're going to blow out everybody. That doesn't really feel fun to watch. And college should be exciting, especially after there was no March Madness last year because of COVID. So I think coaches or anything will be clawing at the bit to get possibly one of their first national championships or get their names on the board or just get out there and kind of get after it. I think everybody's going to be really excited to get after it, especially after I think these conference tournaments are going to be battles, especially when you get down to those last couple of teams. It's going to be fun to watch. So the first opening round, I think, is the March 18th. So we got a couple weeks, I think like 2 weeks or something like that. So hopefully everybody stays safe and nobody gets hurt, and we have a wonderful tournament. That'll be awesome. That wraps it up for Play Some D episode 4. With that being said, everybody out there, be safe. Wear your masks, wash your hands, stay away from each other. We are climbing out of this baby with the cases dropping, and I think we're on our way to be able to have some fun. Some people are already having fun, but some people aren't. So everybody wants to be able to have fun like everybody else, you know? But yeah, be safe, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, once again, Coach D will Play Some D, and I get you on the next one. Holla.